Hey, Mahani Sparkles. This is Madam Equilibrium and I welcome you to the next phase of moon cycle affairs, shortly MCA. And we're going to look at what's happening between the period of the Bug full moon on July 29 and the next full moon, which will be the Sturgeon full moon on August 28, and translate along the way, okay? First of all, in ancient history as well as nowadays, this mentioned cycle between those full moons is seen as a deeply anchored natural transition phase from the peak of summer towards a call for proper harvest preparation. Because for many indigenous cultures, this phase is not only a random time period, but let's say a fast-running natural clock or timestamp, if you will, asking you to align and communicate with Mother Earth, urging you to create proper harvest tools and calling you to be ready for whatever plants or fruits are ready to be harvested, to not waste the precious harvest so you don't miss the momentum. It's fast because it is the time of renewal, growth and mighty strength. Even though, metaphorically speaking, your antlers aren't ready yet. Why aren't the antlers ready yet? It's the Bug full moon, which is named that way because of the new antlers from the male deer, aka buck, which are starting to visibly grow. For many traditions, this so-called velvet phase means growing in silence within or under a soft skin protection, and shows that we need to also harvest our patience in silence without wasting time or nutrients, for instance, as well as quiet confidence to grow within our own soft cover in peace and protection. And since being peacefully protected, we have the great opportunity to now strengthen our inner purpose, to profoundly cultivate our very own inner within, while simultaneously being able to keep an eye on our goals for good. By always staying in an appreciative state of honor just right before everything is going to be visible to the environment. This makes fully sense considering the fact that this Bug full moon lies in the energies of our zodiac sign of air and winter, Aquarius, whose main ruler planet is the planet of stability, Saturn. But we should always keep in mind that Aquarius has also a next ruler planet, which is known as the planet of rebellion, Uranus. Meaning, by honoring our internal as well as external projects, our achievements, our developments, which we have cultivated in covered silence, but which are now, with the stability of Saturn, ready to be presented, is part of the transition from summer, aka fire, to autumn, aka earth, aka to the period of harvesting, towards winter. This is why Aquarius is involved in this year's Bug full moon, because Aquariuses, for instance, also need to calm down from within and need to ever recalibrate themselves by also ever learning how to handle Uranus's tense and unpredictable rebellious energies. So yes, Aquariuses know about themselves from the start and are used to those energies they carry inside. And even though they themselves also struggle from time to time, over the years when they get older, they most possibly have figured it out and can control it. However, there is never a guarantee for that, whether for an aqua nor for others. Which means for us that Aquarius acts as a solid, empathetic, as well as sympathetic and humble teacher, who can, from the point of their own experiences, teach us in a compassionate, gentle way how to silently and solidly stay in an appreciative state of honor. Actually, this is no wonder, however, when we remind ourselves that this year, which is the year of the fire horse, actually started with mighty, huge responsibilities for our Aquarius peeps, which is why they so regularly pop up this year when special celestial events are happening. And so they are there to ensure that Aquarius's energies, for example, don't mess up by, for instance, connecting to other dense energies which are already destructive. Because connection for good is good in general, but to being connected with the wrong energy can bring massive, unrepairable destruction, even extinction. This is, by the way, the one of the Aquarius's mighty attributes, to know when to stay or step away from negative sources by, however, being nevertheless supportive from afar, aka behind the scenes, for healing, advancement, and justice for the common good. Even though you don't see it with your own eyes, what an Aqua does behind the curtains, and even though what they seemingly do seems to be harsh or not understandable at first sight for the eyes and minds of others, they know what they are doing. And the beauty about it is they do everything for the common good, which is their ever-existing goal, to be ever more there for the collective. And when I say for the collective, we need to know it's not only for humanity, no. It's the whole environment, it's for the whole world, it's for the common matrix and far, far beyond. So yes, I know what you maybe say or think, like, but they often go away and want to be by themselves, and they are the ones we can't reach so easily. They are mostly alone, they don't show love that much, they are mostly cold, so on and so forth. Yes, that's true, and they themselves know it's true. So it's no surprise for them to regularly hear such sad accusations, but it holds true up to a specific point. Little reminder that maybe helps you to construct or reconstruct a full picture. Because in astrology, Aquarius is in fact the zodiac sign which is the farthest away from Earth. They are 610 light years away, and 1 light year equals 9.46 trillion kilometers. And that fact isn't just a random fact, because the sign of Aquarius is and acts as the ultimate connection bridge between the Earth, the galaxies, the supernatural, the paranormal, and way, way beyond. Meaning, yes, they travel all along, not only physically, they mainly travel with their soul's energy by operating with their minds to assemble ancient as well as scientific knowledge, or at least what we on Earth call science. Yeah, ever wondered why an Aqua just knows things which nowadays science on Earth cannot prove yet? Yeah, that's what I mean. But what I'm going to tell you now is not only about Aquas, it's about how humanity's morals, values, and ethics get mentally handled and influenced on Earth. Okay? To make it very clear, I'm not labeling anyone or anything here, but the huge but is not to sleep, but to awake from that deep, deep sleep others bomb us in, and to stay fully awake. We are not dumb. We are not a fraud, okay? We are mighty sophisticated beings able to heal thyself and others when we know thyself and when we stay consciously connected to our brothers and sisters within the pristine matrix. Unfortunately, it's a mean, vicious cycle of gaslighting the mind and destroying the soul in a nasty way, which is, from an ethical point of view, extremely dangerous, and from a psychological point of view, massively hard to recover from. So at this point, I call out a trigger warning, okay? So trigger warning here. Please take care of yourself, and maybe you better not listen to the next minutes, but anyways, at least it's of course your decision, okay? Just be careful with yourself. What happens within population when people aren't ready or open for new information coming in is, even though people on earth always want proof for anything, they don't accept what even has been proved by some names. So, talking from the psychological as well as ethical point of view, people unfortunately tend to become ignorant and belittling when they suddenly get information for which their minds and hearts were not ready yet. But instead of choosing to listen and being open-minded, they furthermore tend to stay under the radar and go with the violent majority of aggressors to avoid attention. And the sleeping, remote-controlled majority of offenders keep mercilessly mocking and bothering people just like that. They relentlessly keep going, damaging and destroying people's reputation, their existence, by labeling them as mentally ill, as crazy, as hysteric, as schizophrenic, etc., etc. This list goes on forever. And sometimes until those victims suddenly disappear from the face of Earth, either by committing suicide or because their hearts, which can't anymore, stop beating, or physically by the hands of the perpetrators themselves. But what those ones miss when they choose to be part of the violent majority is that at this point, they simultaneously choose to be a partner in crime, a co-perpetrator, or at least a spectator, which is not less worse. Well, as an example, how can this look like for the eyes of the public, for example? Well, that, as I said, is a nasty, vicious cycle, actually, and unfortunately an easy one to bump onto the Earth population in order to make them fight against each other instead of loving and understanding each other. Okay, now first, I'm not going to dive into details here. It's only a brief summary, okay? So, for the commune, gaslighting can look like this, for instance. Publicly admitting that a disaster has happened. Confirming that they or someone will do their very best to solve the crime or file. Spreading just enough information about that disaster to keep the population busy with some nonsense chitty chatter. Briefly talking about that sad loss and its grief, asking the population for support, shutting down the voices of the skeptical as well as the knowing souls, keeping the major population further busy for a time period until a different, vicious, new sufferer is created, ready to spread. And at the end, people are captured in their everyday lives and don't even remember anymore what actually happened before. This example is one of the seemingly tiny keys why most knowing souls, not only aquas, don't really like to speak that much and mostly prefer to stay alone in silence with themselves until the environment, aka population, is ready for that seemingly new technology or new ancient information which they know it's not true. Talking about truth, we were taught that civilization suddenly appeared on Earth a few thousand years ago, like around 5,000 years or so. Also, some are telling that our ancestors were chimpanzees or Neanderthals. And there are so many examples talking from their religious point of view. But the point is not to label or point anyone here. The point is to decipher the ones who are hiding proper information and pristine knowledge from the population, from us, which also includes the ones who are ever gaslighting others, even names with high reputation, by continuously ignoring and declining obvious facts. No one can in fact deny anymore. That's ridiculous, actually. And also, they aren't ready or willing to change the books for good, so that next generations could have the chance to be educated on the foundation of proper information. And so they keep going, ignoring and denying the facts and truth, which is openly lying right before our eyes, and continue to teach what is long obsolete. Yes, and that's also gaslighting and a violation of our common minds, hearts and souls, which is why it is so important to stay true to yourself, because your inner self knows what's true, not some external forces. So don't let yourself say otherwise to you, okay, my peeps? If you again need an example, well, there are many places to mention, but I am not going to mention any place here. That translation, aka reading, would explode. But this can be a whole another translation for itself, but not yet, okay? So for now, there is one place in Turkey which is pretty much present nowadays called Göbekli Tepe. Göbekli Tepe is long known by scholars and geologists and scientists, for example, but at the same time also long denied by some forces who are continuing to deny and not accept what lies right in front of them. Scientists, geologists and scholars determined from soil samples that the civilization inhabiting the area of Göbekli Tepe predates 13,000 years ago. At least that's a number which I know to the best of my knowledge and research. Until yet, maybe it can change or be updated or downdated, but this is the work of proper geologists and scientists. However, they brought a huge international discussion to the surface, which shook the world to the ultimate questions of humanity. Who are we? Where do we come from? Who were they? Who created such things? What messages have they left behind? How did we end up here on this planet? So on and so forth. Those common questions go on forever. But good news is, and to not let this translation explode, you can research for those information by yourself as well. Okay, I know there are many who are just trying to go with the flow and drop something here and there, and you maybe ask yourself how to find those proper ones. Well, first of all, I know I do no justice right now because I know I just scratched the surface here, but as I said, for now and for my translation, it's just an example, no more, no less, okay? And I, of course, can maybe in one moment in time make a whole video on this topic, and then I can assure you, then we can dive deep into it, to the very, very core. But for now, that's it, and must be enough to give a passing glance about the topic, okay? But just be assured that there are other people, also other very well-known people who give you proper information and knowledge and who are ready to listen as well as ready to answer questions to the best of their present knowledge, okay? But this knowing thing is a double-edged sword, especially for the advancement-seeking air signs, because that makes them often lonely. Even though they maybe aren't physically lonely, it makes them lonely within their hearts, minds, and souls, which most of the time can feel like torture for them, honestly. But by very shortly mentioning the aquas again, they know why they are lonely and why they are doing all this kind of secret but not so secret stuff, and why they are carrying such tremendously mighty responsibilities. What in fact keeps them nevertheless going and going and going for the collective good, aka happiness. Because what gets regularly missed is that an aqua, but that's also true for all signs, is actually a softie. In a good sense, of course, in a good sense. The seeming cold-bloodedness, what many are recognizing, comes from the cold planet Uranus, which makes them unpredictable as well, as long as you don't challenge them with lies or intrigues or injustice, etc., etc. Because softie or not, an aqua can be unpredictable on self-demand, if needed. But as I said, don't forget that holds true for the other air signs as well, in their very own way. Because, well, to sum the air signs briefly up, let's start with Gemini. Messing with a Gemini, aka Mercury, aka Trickster, is a whole another cinematic story. Because at the end, let's say it straight as it is, when you piss them off without you even recognizing it, they will trick you, disappear like from the face of Earth, and leave you behind within illusions for which you definitely will have hard times to come out for a long, long time. In case of Libra, well, it's pretty daft and straight up moronic to upset a generally perfectly balanced Libra. Their ending can look this way. Of course, if they are massively angry with you, they say what they feel the need to say straight in the face. And that's actually only the case if you are lucky enough that they speak at all to you still. But mostly they won't say a word and just leave on one shot, so to speak. And that's it, without you ever seeing them again. And yeah, there's Aqua. Challenging an aqua is just special, stupid, beyond belief. Because, well, if you have listened properly until now, you actually know why. Because they will leave at some point as well, no doubt here. They will never be reachable to you, no doubt here as well. But they, because of their purposeful, instinctively deep anchored love for humanity. They will nevertheless help and support you finding your proper way by creating a lot of opportunities. So you have the chance to freely juggle through, in a positive sense of course, and see which path does fit individually for you. And even though they give you maybe some, let's say, friendly butt nudges for good, the most important part is they always let you be. They will never try to influence your free will, because for them that would be raw lie. They want humanity to act with pure free will. Doesn't matter if people decide for the good or for the bad. But whatever they decide, it's their free will. So you just know what their mindset is, and you can react to it with truth, without judging, without being angry or making drama, and without creating negative karma, for example. So yes, they are just there to support you, to find and open up opportunities by your own free will, with your own energy. They stand nearby only to make sure nothing bad happens to you along the way, until you have found it. And that's it. That's it. But the truth is, no air sign carries anger within by nature. No. They don't want all that drama. Actually, to them, it's waste of energy. And wasting energy for silly, dumb things just because of some who aren't willing to use their minds properly for good is a mighty no-go for them. Though the interesting part is that they end up being actually angry for wasting energy for nothing, instead of being angry with the ones who created that bother and suffer for destruction. This is why they just leave and disappear without saying a word, actually. Because they know that for humanity, ethics, and they include themselves and the fellow air signs as well, is a heavy mindset to work with. So they don't judge the human being, even if it seems like that at that moment, but no, they don't. Well, you get the point, right? Because we are creating cycles here, which just shows that spirit is really, really determined and wants us to be fully awake and careful, especially with our minds. As I said now multiple times, our minds are advancement, are creativity, are sophisticated, so on and so forth. And not the other way around, like others want us to believe that we are fraud, for instance. No, we are not. And you know what? An aqua is happy when you are happy. They are happy when you have achieved your goals and improved your soul for good. Then an aqua knows that the job is done for good and feels also good thyself, and so can move on to help others improving their souls, so on and so forth. This, however, holds also truth for all air signs. Yes, see, even though it seemed as if we had a whole Aquarius typology reading here, it is comparing to what we all together witness nowadays in the world. It's, however, just a teeny tiny, very brief example of what we talk about throughout so many months and years now. In fact, mostly they deeply prefer to act, aka support, profoundly from behind the scenes, and to also enjoy the beautiful results they created in pure silence from behind the scenes as well. This is what they love and appreciate so much. To be able to recognize positive results and outcomes, especially those extraordinary ones they even didn't expect to happen, by not being in the spotlight, but by lovingly giving others a friendly butt nudge to put others gently into the spotlight for the collective good. They love and very much appreciate such things. And that's their fuel, their confirmation, their energy to ever have and hold the strength to continue that way. Okay? Meaning, if such a thing happens, it's a call that we need to know that aquas never just talk just for the sake of having talked whatsoever. No. There must be something urgent for you to look after very properly in order to not get burned, so to speak. Like we talked about earlier in the matter of not wasting the harvest, for example, remember? Now, so many times the call to not waste the harvest popped up, right? But ever thought about love in that moment? And I don't mean what is generally known in this population between sexes, etc. No, definitely not. I talk about pure, pristine love we ever carry deep within. The love for everything, the love for any existence, the love for beauty within and without. Exactly the love this earth and its inhabitants, as well as some forces, try to just erase forever. Yeah, and when we so much talk about air signs, really we need to protect and be there for them as well. Remember when I said that they are in fact softies at heart? You know what? They also have to learn and figure out how to handle, aka juggle, with all that love they carry inside. So many years they just felt the need, but especially pressure, to keep their souls safe by being just strict and precise. They were forced to believe that they have to be like that, to just function precisely and not to show love at all. And now, as the time changes, they finally get the chance to get to know themselves and how beautiful it is to just be and love whatever you love actually, and act on love instead of hiding and wasting love just because some forces try to shut them and us down. You need a prominent picture or an example? Immediately there comes Zac Efron into my mind, who is a Libra. And I'm pretty sure that if you know him, you right away know what I'm talking about. He's a prominent example of loving anything and everyone without limits. Well, you just need to be there, communicate vastly, and he suddenly feels deep love already, starting to hug or kiss or cry, be silent. There are different ways to show and feel love. But whatever love he feels, it seems to be pure. I know, most possibly he unintentionally broke some hearts, sorry on behalf. But hey, ever thought of his heart breaking all the time, every day, just because he deeply gives love to everyone and everything? But as the world is a dense place, he cannot always receive the same amount of love back. So every day, heartbreak pre-programmed, which most likely creates the need for a proper heart rehab. Remember that Zac Efron is a prominent example, so that you have a greater view of what we are talking here about, okay? Because in fact, this topic is a huge thing for mighty-hearted people who always struggle giving and receiving love purely, okay? Purely. So generally speaking, celib or not, people often misinterpret such behavior. For example, the sudden need to kiss someone's cheeks, for instance, just because you, right at that moment, feel it deeply inside, and this feeling pushes through and needs to be released in a beautiful sense. But people tend to make something dirty of it. Well, to those of you who think in such dirty and nasty ways, yeah, you must clearly know that you are not an exception, because also you will not receive nor experience pure, pristine love ever. When you don't work on your mind, your heart and soul by asking yourself truly where this destructive density comes from in order to purify and heal it from that dirt. See, there's always a way. So the energy of our aquas within this specific period of time between those full moons is literally saying, be careful by being solid, grounded, and stay humble within that mighty spotlight. Don't spread dirt. Don't waste love toward yourself and others, because there seems to be a high risk of getting burned, even maybe through greedy eyes of others, which also suits, metaphorically speaking, to the mentioned harvesting time, right? The thing is, coming out from summer while being in a shifting state into autumn towards winter can bring stuck emotional confusion to the surface, which we don't want, instead of innovative, bold action and mental clarity, which we want. And you know what? This shifting is happening while our zodiac sign of air and master of communication, Gemini, connects to Uranus's rebellious energies. I can tell you, Gemini lying in Uranus's energies, oof, just saying oof, that's going to be a mighty, mighty, extremely massive, straightforward, electrifying and expansive, as well as expressive ride of raw, unfiltered truth, for which we need to be ready indeed. And not only ready, you will make sure that you are prepared for this sudden, airy, rebellious trickster energy for good. Because this alignment, and remember what we talked about in the matter of air signs in general, has definitely the power to shake your whole existence. And not only trick and manipulate, but also destroy your mental health to its very core, in a way that you even don't know anymore who you actually are. Don't want to scare you, but rehab is most possibly pre-programmed if you aren't properly prepared and fall for the illusions. So remember what we discussed just right before in the matter of Aquarius. Sticking to Aquarius's raw clarity of truth, and let's say spend time with them in gentleness by also receiving sympathy and empathy within their solid and secure caves. Feels now like a good idea, right? At least as long as you need the protection, aka clarity, until all that external blur, which you, by the way, can watch by yourself from within that secure point of view, because a cave has generally an open view, has finally faded away. And then, hopefully in appreciation, encouraged as well as healed, you decide for yourself when you feel ready and secure to leave the cave for good and move on your individual path. Okay? Well, my sparkles, we are halfway through 2026. And you perhaps have recognized something about air signs in general, did ya? I'm pretty sure you did, because we discussed it pretty much in detail, and in fact it's very much present. So air signs are actually pretty much active this year, in a sense that they hardly, as well as sometimes even desperately, try to protect the minds, our minds, also our collective minds within the matrix, from any harm, especially any arbitrary harm at all. This means a lot of work, because working with the mind is always a tough thing to work with. And well, that's the airy area of air signs. So, did you recognize that all zodiac signs of air are pretty much correct and very strict, sharp and precise this year? In a way that they neither miss an imbalance nor a false information or anything else what can possibly create misunderstandings or fights. Even though it seems little, so simple actually, that we normally don't even mention those things. Like, for example, is the paper white or snow white, or what kind of blue color has the pen? Or they remind someone of their sentence they said before and insist for a specific word, which was once part of the sentence, and maintain to repeat the sentence word by word until it fits perfectly, so on and so forth. Many, teeny tiny things like that. You get the picture, right? They are demanding on the raw truth, because nowadays any missing link or word or sound or information or even emotion can make a huge difference. So they will stand firm on that no matter what, to require justice and righteousness for the collective. And of course, they put especially themselves also in it too. No exceptions here, especially not for their fellow zodiac signs of air. So don't worry when you have air signs around, which you maybe know for so long, and all of a sudden you wonder about their extreme preciseness in the tiniest detail. Just know that they do that for good, and that alone is calming to know, right? But there's an add-on. We talked about the air signs, but there is one sign who is also affected by the airy energies, which is our generally solid zodiac sign of Earth, Capricorn, who is kind of, let's say, sassy this year, which you maybe have also recognized throughout the months of 2026 until now. Our normally grounded and solid Capricorns are even so extraordinarily attentive to detail, so extremely by the book, They even mess with an ever-balanced Libra, up to a point in which even a Libra wonders, with a smirk, because for them it's just fun, they wonder about such nitpickiness of that normally calm and funny Capricorn. But they let them be. And if you wonder where this lovely sassiness came from, it's because of our planet Saturn, which is the ruler planet of both Capricorn and Aquarius. Well, what can I say? Since we know about Aquarius's purpose, as well as the work of all zodiac signs of air, as well as the influence of Uranus, which is the next ruler planet of Aquarius, yeah, our Capricorns are a bit overwhelmed by these massive airy as well as rebellious energies. And honestly, they try to be stern and firm, and they basically don't mean to harm anyone. But generally, they mostly end up being just incredibly funny, at least to the eye of air signs, like in the example of Libra. Here's good news. All this will not last forever, but definitely until the end of this year, and maybe a bit longer. My guess, without guarantee, okay, but I assume it lasts until March 2027 or so, at least until the next astrological year starts its new cycle. And of course, all those energies are especially challenging, considering that there is a brief time in which Jupiter will lie within the energies of our zodiac sign of fire in summer, Leo. Yeah, it's getting hot in here, I would say, because since Jupiter is always ready for bringing up unexpected miracles to the surface, and so sudden changes into our lives, Jupiter is therefore known as the planet of great expansion and magic, so to speak. Not to forget to bring back into our minds is that the ruler god of Jupiter is the ancient Greek god Zeus himself, while Jupiter itself is the ruler planet of both our zodiac sign of fire, Sagittarius, as well as our zodiac sign of water, Pisces. And this combination with Leo opens up vast stages for us by simultaneously calling us to step into the spotlight, to catch the very chance to embrace our souls and to shine our beautiful bright lights, but without falling into illusions. Okay? And the beauty makes full sense when looking at August 6th, which is the moment when Venus steps into the energies of our zodiac sign of Earth, Virgo. Also here we of course have ancient celestial rulers in play. For Venus, for example, it's Aphrodite, the goddess of love, beauty and desire. And Venus, however, is the ruler planet of both the zodiac sign of air, Libra, and our homey zodiac sign of Earth, Taurus. When thinking about Jupiter lying in the energies of Leo, and by calling us to step into the spotlight, into our own bright light, it makes sense that we would love to stay and shine in that spotlight by looking beautifully pretty, right? And since we stay in that spotlight, we should keep in mind that this spotlight is not only there to shine on us so that we can look pretty. No, not only. It is the spotlight which permeates our souls and spotlights also the nasty things we carry inside, which everyone can see clearly then, like an open book, when you consider to step into that spotlight. And the longer you decide to stay under that light, the more the environment will recognize your inner world, up to any hidden dark corner. That's why we have Jupiter in play. That's why the energy shifts from pure drama, the bright stage or illusion, to being just practical, aka appreciative, the cozy, beautiful home. It's like thinking, yeah, well, staying in that spotlight would be fun, yes, with all that glamour. But no, I have a gorgeous family. I stay here in my beautiful home with my beautiful peeps, and we have fun together. And we create our own beautiful spotlight. Remember the rebellious trickster energy, which we talked about earlier with Gemini and Uranus? Right. This we now have to clean up, so to speak, to not fall and get stuck into illusions. So now with Venus and Virgo, it's time to analytically declutter all the illusions, to focus the mind to what is truth, and create a proper schedule, and to consistently but gently move forward to improve your, aka our souls, and bring them into unity. And you know what? There is one thing to mention as well in the matter of our tricky trickster Gemini peeps. You know, yes, they have fun being a trickster. And yes, they are deeply into vast communications. I mean, it's in fact their area, their habitat. And so they also are, let's say, kind of okay when other signs or planets are stepping or journeying into or through their energies, and can time-wise profit from all the Gemini, Mercury, Hermes, trickster attributes. That's one thing, because they know it's just a short period of time, but hey, they don't like when their attributes are permanently and intensively being used or misused just like that, especially when the others are not used to the energies and aren't able to juggle with those energies properly and securely. And when bad purposes are in play, they can be really nasty, because, well, even a trickster has a reputation, right? And they, especially when you violate their attributes and reputation, they will protect their reputation no matter what. I can assure you that's no fun. So my recommendation could be, when you find yourself in those, let's say, stranger energies, this holds true for all signs, by the way, don't flip out and stay calm. We all live in an illusion anyway, so don't make it worse for you just because you have maybe found a new playground with a bunch of new toys, for example. Yes, it can be exciting, but isn't it more exciting to know how to use those new things well, so you can make a solid difference? I leave you to this question. Because the beauty about this specific moon cycle phase is that you are shifting back, which sounds weird at first sight, right? But good news is that this backwards shifting is a shifting toward beauty and harmony, to remembering, to knowing things, okay? Think about just having fun, doing some tumble, aka forward rolls on a meadow or in sports, for example. Actually, it doesn't matter where you are doing those things. The point is the fun part here, okay? And yeah, I know there are some who are struggling doing that. I know that. But now for this translation, aka reading, it is a metaphor, okay? So don't worry and just maybe try to imagine yourself like Heidi and Peter rolling down the hills of the Alps or so, okay? As I said, it's all about the fun part. And by imagining things, you can also have fun, and that's actually even more secure, by the way. We move on and stay positive, okay? Okay then, so when you now do some back tucks, aka backward rolls as well, it is not less fun, right? For some, it's actually more fun than forwards because it's maybe exciting to them. And perhaps you are on a beautiful meadow, and by doing some backward rolls, you are maybe landing in the middle of some beautiful smelling and colorful flowers. I'm pretty sure that you don't screw yourself and say, "What the peep?" Most possibly you will be very happy then, right? And you most likely will continue to have fun because everything went well and is all right. And who knows, perhaps you might find a dandelion in the wildflower meadow, blow the clock and watch with a gentle smile how the seeds are drifting away with the breeze, and maybe dream about how and where the seeds which are carrying your air maybe are landing, and who maybe will find the next dandelion and also blows the clock, so on and so forth. We can continue to imagine that beautiful circle ever and ever. Picking up on dreaming and imagination, let's together move on with Saturn, Neptune and Aries. I'm hearing you saying, "Oh, what's that about now? What comes next to handle? Isn't that enough?" Okay, first of all, let's stay calm and go with the facts first, okay? Like we did with the others. So, Saturn is the ruler planet of both our zodiac sign of air and winter, Aquarius, and our zodiac sign of earth and winter, Capricorn. We remember that, right? We had that before. The ruler god of Saturn is Kronos. And Kronos is not only the leader of the Titans, but also the father of Zeus. And remember, Zeus is the ruler god of our zodiac signs Sagittarius and Pisces, as well as planet Jupiter. Not to forget to also remind ourselves that Aquarius has a next ruler planet, Uranus, which is ruled by the ancient elder god of the elements and the embodiment of heaven, Uranus. Next we have Neptune, which is the next ruler planet of our zodiac sign of water, Pisces. The ruler god of Neptune is no one other than the god of the sea, flowing waters, springs and weather, Poseidon. Furthermore, we don't have directly a planet in play per se, but an influence with the zodiac sign of fire, Aries, whose ruler planet, however, is the planet of wars and battles, Mars. What does all this mean now? When these planets are, let's say, journeying through Aries' energies, they create, let's say, warlike energies within us, within the collective awareness or collective synaptic network or matrix, if you will, by motivating us to act independent, to debunk outdated illusions, by also calling us to what? What do you guess? To dream, baby. And why all this? Shortly, all this assembling, especially with Jupiter and Neptune in the front row, and of course including all the other fellow players, seems to be meant for requiring and reaching mighty passionate realms of existence for good, for the whole community. Then when we have August 12th, we get to experience, let's say, multiple acts on the celestial stage we talked about before. First of all, on August 12th, it's new moon. And this new moon lies in the energies of our zodiac sign of fire in summer, Leo. Secondly, there will be a meteor shower in the dark skies, which unfortunately maybe not everyone gets to witness, but the fact that we have new moon can possibly create a huge chance to maybe catch some of those meteors. But honestly, I can't really give you a useful tip about how you can maybe watch the shower properly. But well, through my own experiences, I would recommend, if you have the time of course, to focus on a specific area in the dark sky near the new moon and wait at least maybe up to 30 and 45 minutes to catch at least one of the meteors, which are looking like shooting stars. It is said that this specific shower, which happens right before the next sturgeon full moon, is one of the oldest as well as recorded celestial observations. In ancient times, viewers also called them falling stars and saw them, for example, as cosmic omens coming from their ancestors to receive knowledge and information. And it's not all. On August 12th, while the energies are lying within the zodiac sign of fire and summer Leo, a major and rare celestial event will also happen. It will be a total solar eclipse. In fact, it is the first total solar eclipse since 1999, which in ancient history and throughout various cultures is considered as a mighty time of intense energetic transformations as well as solid manifestations. And for some, it is also an internal reset button for a purified reborn momentum. Not in action like we would expect now because of Leo and Aries, no, but reborn from a pristine meditative power of silence. I know the eclipse isn't fully visible from everywhere, but most possibly partially to the majority. But just because it isn't fully visible to everyone, it doesn't change the fact that it is happening, okay? Little reminder, and not making any marketing here, but it doesn't matter from where you are watching this event, and it doesn't matter if you just can watch a partial eclipse. It is very important to protect your eyes. Please be very careful and with your eyes and use those special glasses, which are thankfully not very expensive. And if you have the opportunity to help others who don't have much money, I can just call to please consider to support them by donating some or gifting them such. But whatever, just please be careful and also take care of others and our pets as well, okay? Protection is a good key point to continue with, because on August 24, we have double Earth energies coming in. Why? Well, on August 24, our zodiac sign of Earth, which is also the last zodiac sign of summer, starts its era within the energies of our Earth sign of winter, Capricorn, who is, remember, a little bit sassy right now, which is a little bit funny actually, in a good sense, of course, in a good sense, but it's funny. Well, when Virgo is preparing for autumn, so to speak, and is there to kind of clean up the mess and anything what needs to be purified, they clean that up step by step, scheduled, structured, to finally create or recreate a beautiful, cozy home which they will protect with all their might. Yeah, we talked about all the Aries signs beforehand right now, and to not mess with them. Well, be sure it's not a good idea to mess with a Virgo as well. Better you don't challenge them, especially when they are in a phase of protecting their homes and beloved ones. Don't forget, Virgo may be an earth sign, but Virgo is still ruled by Mercury, aka Hermes. Meaning, you better don't get the idea that they stay calm when you mess up things within their environment. Even though they, like Gemini, are also ruled by Mercury, and even though they both carry, of course, similarities, a Virgo, however, is at the end not like our Gemini peeps who, when you challenge them, let you keep stuck in various illusions and just disappear. No. A Virgo will not just let you go. No, they will run after you when you try to leave the mess behind. And they are pretty much athletic, so just don't. That can end dramatically, and we don't want that. Leave them alone and just let them be with their loved ones, and everything will be just fine, okay? Because hey, it's astrologically not random that their era starts right before Sturgeon full moon arrives. They have a lot to do actually, which must be just right enough to leave all the cleansed stuff to Capricorn. And when you now think about for a moment which zodiac signs are along the way until Capricorn era begins, which are Libra, Scorpio, and Sagittarius, then you can maybe imagine why a Virgo can be such determined in their behavior. And of course, it's also not random that Virgo's era starts in Capricorn this year. And now, imagine an already sassy Capricorn receiving a mess. Oh, maybe and most likely that will be no fun anymore. Finally, when the Sturgeon full moon arrives on August 28, by lying in the energies of our zodiac sign of water, Pisces, we can dream again, thanks to Virgo, who protected everything and built an emotional but secure realm in which we luckily have the freedom to dream again, peacefully, and to find close-ups and clarity in whatever matter. Because this full moon represents also the survival of the harvest. Remember what we continuously discussed about not wasting the harvest and love. That's it now. Now the time has arrived to realize, aka manifest, the final transition and become abundant, like the sturgeon fish do in the Great Lakes. This is where we headed and worked towards. This is why Virgo is so protective for its home. Because now, as the harvesting is most likely done, this time is meant for gathering nutrients, also from the sturgeon fish too, and share as well as store the pristine harvest with the collective before winter fully arrives. And the fact that this full moon lies in the energies of our Pisces zodiac sign shows us that there is an urgent call to not only watch the surface, but to come very close to it and look beneath the surface of the blurred water, to at least find any nutrients at all. And this suits perfectly to the illusion topic, what has been accompanying us all along our journey. Sorry. Okay, so my sparklings, that's it. Round about 1 hour for 1 month. I myself didn't expect that as well, but hey, time doesn't exist anyways, so what is an hour? It is just everything and nothing. So welcome to the equilibrium and bye-bye. See ya from the equilibrium. I leave you to gentle clarity. Love you lots, my sparkles.